All right, Athlete Builder back at it again. As you know, we are powered by the AEA Institute for Mental Performance Training, and we have a great guest on today who fits that bill very well, Alex Rogers. What can I tell you about Alex? 12-year Navy veteran, was an active duty SEAL, father of two, professional fighter in Jiu-Jitsu, runs his own clothing company, and shout out to Chipper Anderson from Virginia High Performance. We had him back on the show. He connected us. He's a friend of the show and keeps finding us guests so we can keep doing what we do, where we talk about building people mentally and physically. So we have professional fighter, Navy SEAL veteran Alex Rogers on the show today. Alex, man, thanks for taking the time. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Where are you at now?
Norfolk, Virginia.
So that's how you come across with Chipper because you guys are not too far away.
Yep, I just moved to North Carolina, but I had to come back to take care of some stuff here, and then I'm headed back later today.
Gotcha. So busy.
Yeah.
Things we're going to talk about getting through buds, working with the teams. We're going to talk about becoming a high level fighter. I know you have an event coming up, so we want to dive into what that is about and how we can let people know. And then we'll just finish up with hard, humble, and hungry. Your three-word mantras for building athletes. So, my first question: when did you know you wanted to join the Navy, and then specifically work towards the teams?
It's kind of reverse of that, really. Since I was a little kid, I wanted to join the military. I wanted to do something special. I remember this memory is still super clear in my head. Like, I want to be Halo qualified because I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. Because I used to play Halo all the time when I was, like in elementary school and middle school. I always had a fascination with the military in general, but I knew I wanted to do something cool, not just a regular job. And so that's kind of how it started. And then I didn't really find out about the SEAL teams until I'd already gone to like take my ASVAB and did some other stuff with the Army. And I was leaving the recruiter station there. And I was like, something stopped me as I was walking out the door. And I turned around and just made eye contact with the SEAL pamphlet out of everything. There's, hundreds of pamphlets there because it was a recruiting depot. And I was just like, what is this? And I opened it up and to see all these cool pictures. And I was like, wait, this is literally everything I want. And I can come in right out like as I am right now, 18, no criminal history, high school diploma, and pass this PST. Um, PST didn't go so well for a while. That we can get into that later, but that was it. Um, and where like the Army, I was like, I want to be a Green Beret, and they're like, well, you can't do that. You got to be a regular infantry guy for a while. I'm like, all right, cool. I want to be a Ranger, and they're like, same thing. You got to be an E5. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll be infantry and work my way up. And that's kind of where I was at. Like I said, I did the ASVAB and everything with them. And then as soon as I locked eyes on that SEAL pamphlet thing, I went out in the parking lot. I had my little flip track phone back then. It was, and like called my best friend at the time. His name was also Alex. And I was just like, yo, I want to be a Navy SEAL. And he was just like, sure you are. Because in Vermont, where I grew up, like you didn't even know what that was. Like it wasn't like a real thing. It's like saying I'm gonna be freaking Iron Man or Superman. Like you're gonna be some superhero because no one knew anything about it. That's obviously different now, thanks to people doing podcasts and
Right?
movies and books and all that. Yeah, but back then, no one even really knew what it was. So
What year
that's
was
how
that?
that started. That was probably 2011 or 12.
Shoot, I thought some people knew about it. I think the National Geographic already had out their documentary a good 10 plus years before that, even. So,
Yeah, I mean, so when I kind of looked more into it, watched the Buds 243 or 234 or whatever it was, and then it was May 2011 when they got Bin Laden. That's kind of like SEAL Team 6 was like, oh, they're sort of real, but no one really knew a whole lot about it. I didn't know anything about SEALs anyway, in Vermont until I started looking into it and talked to the Navy recruiter, and then I read some like Dick Couch books on like buds and um, some articles and stuff online. But it was just like this almost unattainable thing of like these aren't humans, these are superhumans. Like these are the closest thing to a superhero there is. Everyone's talking about how like, oh, I went out and ran a half marathon, didn't even train for it because I'm just a Navy SEAL, and I was just like, ooh, I don't know if I can do that. And but that's kind of but that attracted me to it, and I was like, I want to do hard things, and I don't know what else I want to do, so I'm going to do this.
Usually there's an identity thing early on that builds that, whether you're looking for, I don't need to get that deep with you, but whether you're looking for attention from your parents, or maybe you got picked on, or maybe none of those things happened. You just wanted a challenge. But what do you think that stemmed from? Because when you're talking to the Army, you said, Green Beret, Army
Right.
Rangers, like, from the onset, you wanted to do something more than just the standard.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's a good question, honestly. And I thought about that a lot because people bring up that, especially when you leave the SEAL teams or any, soft entity. Really, it's like identity crisis, identity crisis, and just like what, I don't think I really had one before. I was a pretty secure kid.
Hmm.
I worked really hard at sports. Soccer and basketball were my thing. I wanted to go to college for them, but I didn't want to go to college. I just wanted to keep playing. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I feel like I just didn't know what I wanted to do. Really, I didn't want to go to college. I didn't. There wasn't a job or industry that attracted me, and I'm not really sure where that came from because I didn't have anybody in my family that that was in the military. Like my paternal grandfather was, but like a long, long time ago, and only for like one enlistment. So I didn't really have like that influence. Um,
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I know you're going to have plenty of options if you don't make it through buds because they're going to assign you somewhere. So if you're not
Yeah,
sure where you're going, they'll find a place for you.
they certainly
Those
will.
boats, the
Yeah,
boats need cooks, right?
they do.
Um, when you're so the standard to just apply isn't necessarily that onerous, right? It's X number of push-ups. You got to run a mile and a half or 2 miles and then do pull-ups or whatever. So, but to actually thrive, you have to be able to handle more than that mentally and physically. So, did you just enlist immediately and go? Did you prep in advance? What was the thought process and how did you handle next steps?
So that phone call to my friend in that parking lot kind of is when step one of like my goal and journey to being a Navy SEAL. That was probably late 2011 or 2012 sometime. I didn't go to boot camp until June 2013, so it took me a little while. So I was like, oh, I can pass this PST, which I did barely. Like I barely hit the minimum standards, just because I wasn't used to it. I didn't really know how to swim. I could save my life. That's kind of what it was. I thought I could swim, but I went and did the PST with a recruiter or a scout rather. When after I met the recruiters, they connect me with the NSW scout, and yeah, we went to this pool at this community college that I used to work out at a little bit. Um, we did the 500-meter swim. I did it in I guess you could call it freestyle. I wouldn't call it that now, but that's what I was doing because I didn't know how to do the combat side stroke. Did like a minimum score was like 12:30. I did it like it's like 11 something, and I took breaks. So I was like, well, this is you know this is weird.
Humbling,
And yeah, and
right?
I was like exhausted, and then I did 57 push-ups, 57 sit-ups in the 2 minutes, and the scout, remember, he called, he's like, I'm gonna call you Heinz, and I was like, Heinz. I was like, he's like, yeah, Heinz 57. I was like, nice.
There it is.
And the I think and minimum was 50, so I barely, like I said, barely passed. And then I think minimum passing for pull-ups was 6. I think I got 9. Um, and then the run, I think a passing for that was like 12:30 as well. And I think I ran at 10:57. And So all in all, the test doesn't take very long, half hour maybe. And I was cooked, and I was like, okay, I got some ways to go, and that's kind of what he said too. He's like, you need to learn how to swim, like do the combat side stroke. He did stay and work with me after, which was really cool. We did some technique stuff, but I mean, he's an aircraft mechanic, and not so he wasn't like super good with swimming. He kind of picked up the combat side stroke through like hit this new job as a scout, but he wasn't like a swim coach by any means. But he helped me out, so I had a place to start from. And I started doing that. I started running more, started doing push-ups, but that took me a while, honestly. Like I didn't really have a technique. I didn't have like a routine. I just kind of went and did it. There was no structure whatsoever, just like gritty hard work. And I made some progress because my body adjusted to this new test and these standards. But it took a while, and then once I started, he met with me like a month or so later. I did a lot better, enough to be like, all right, I'll put you into like the pool of people, and they had do these workouts because I was from New England, so they had like I don't know if it's still around, but it called it SWONEC, was like Special Warfare Operations New England candidates, and travel all over New England and Eastern New York to different YMCA's mostly, and we would
Hmm.
just do workouts. And there was an active duty SEAL there, and then there was a retired SEAL, and they kind of ran us through workouts, swim, a lot of swim stuff, and then we'd do some runs too. They would have the open workouts, and then we'd have the PSTs, and you could just do as many PSTs as you wanted to kind of get those reps in. And
Gotcha.
then as you're doing that, you're going through like the process with your recruiter, like because you have to show like I am actually trying to join the Navy. Because so there were some people who just like, oh, I want to go work out with a Navy SEAL, and like just to say it. So like if you weren't doing all that, they'd kick you out of the program. But like I said, I had to sign a CB contract first as a BU to like kind of be in the program, in the debt program. And then I just was doing PSTs until I got a passing score to be put in like the draft to get invited to get a billet to go to Buds. And that was in, I think, February of 2013. And then went to, like I said, went to boot camp in June.
So boot camp for Bud's boot camp, or you meant like boot camp at like Great Lakes for the Navy?
Yes, so it's same thing. I went to Great Lakes regular Navy boot camp, but since had a SO contract, um, I think it was 7 weeks, so it was like accelerated. I think regular boot camp was 8, but we did 7. Thank God, that was like the worst time of my entire life. I remember being there, like I made the biggest mistake of my life by coming here. Funny enough, there out of the 80 or so of us that were there was about 6 or 7 other guys who thought the same exact thing. And guess what? All of us made it through, and everybody that had a good time at boot camp is now on a ship somewhere.
Right, right, right. You didn't come across Lynn Panko, did you? So I live on the west side of Indianapolis, and Lynn, I'm not sure what class he was in. I think when you're graduate top of your class, they call it, the honor man or something like that. And so he was talking about his time at Great Lakes and how he prepared so much to go that when he got to just basic Navy boot camp, that he started to, regress because
Absolutely. Yep.
the amount of work wasn't nearly significant enough to what he's used to. So he would have to like sneak out into the men's room, and they have those stalls for the shitters, right? And so across each stall there's like a bar, and he would be doing pull-ups from those bars in the restroom to just keep going. And because the standards were lower, because as because it wouldn't be the same, but he wanted to maintain a certain level so he wasn't hurting when he started day one. When you get to Buds, what's your like welcome to the NFL moment? Like, holy shit, am I really signed up for something? And this is really legit.
Um, I think really you fly from Chicago to San Diego. You're in your whites. Everything's cool because you're there with like every other Navy dude or chick, and you're going through the San Diego airport in your whites, and then we all went over to the USO, and I think we had to change into our uh, NCUs or whatever they are, the peanut butters. It's like I've only worn them like twice in my entire life, but so I forget what they're called, but it's called peanut butters. We had to change into those, and then the tension started rising a little bit, and then we had, I think it was mostly the officers who, because they'd already been out there, and they came and picked us up in vans and drove us to the barracks in Coronado for bow or basic orientation. And when you get there, that's kind of when like your first kind of smack in the head, like, oh shit, I'm here. Um, and then like you see, before then, I'd seen two like real SEALs my entire life. It was the guy at before boot camp, and then there might have been a couple at Bo, but you didn't really interact with them. So this is the first time somebody's like up in your face, like talking to you and or yelling, rather, and you're like, okay, and then it kind of eases into it. Honestly, I don't remember ever being like super shook up by anything in Bo, but that the real like, is that first morning of Bud's first phase.
Gotcha. Some people talk about the O course being a problem. A lot of people say combat diving, or maybe they're fine there, but they can't hold their breath long enough for 50 meters
Yeah,
underwater. The is it the rope? Is it the rope for life when you're on the O course and you're on your belly pulling,
yeah,
or
slide for life.
slide for life? Sorry, I don't want to be. I definitely don't want to be disrespectful. Otherwise, it's just being sandy and cold, right? And so usually, I got to believe at some point, or maybe the mud pits, they there's a few moments along the way where you're like doubt creeps in because you don't have the rep yet mentally to think I definitely can do this. Maybe you might believe you can, but there's no knowledge that says, well, I've already done this, this, and this, so I can definitely handle X, right? That's why
Right.
they're building you up that way. So what was the moment or moments or significant times when maybe doubt crept in a little bit? And then what's your process for handling that? Because athletes have doubt before they get on the jiu-jitsu mat. They're getting ready to pitch on the mound, be at the plate, or it could be some singer in show choir or somewhere on the debate team. There's always when doubt creeps in. So
Right.
I'm always curious to figure out how people handle that and what's their process.
My my first one was the 50-meter underwater swim. I thought it was later on in Buds, and like I was like, I can make it through Buds. I know I can. I know I can, just because previous work experience and like hard things. But I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna make that. That was like the one thing that was super daunting to me because we did 25-meter stuff in NSW prep after boot camp. I like barely passed that, and then in Bow you did 35 meters, and like I feel like I didn't pass them all. Like it was really hard for me. And then I think it was day two we did the 50-meter, and I didn't know about it till like the night before. So the end of day one, and I was like, okay, cool, I made day one. Like, I'm good. And then there was like, yeah, pool evolutions tomorrow. I'm like, all right, cool. I've done some drown proofing. Like this shouldn't be that bad. And then it was the 50-meter, and I remember like that was the first time where I was like, wow, this this is gonna end real soon. And but I was just like, I did the box breathing, the 5 seconds in, 5 second hold, 5 second out, whatever. Just trying to stay calm. I don't know what my heart rate was, but it would be interesting to see, for
Higher than
sure.
you want.
Yeah, way higher. And I just was like freaking out about it. And some of the rollbacks were like, everyone was like, go as deep as you can because the pressure is different. And like it kind of compacts your lungs a little bit so you'll be better down there. And then some of the rollbacks were like, there's little tiny holes like the size of a finger at the bottom of the pool. If you find them, you can kind of like put your finger in and like it'll propel you like a little bit faster. And I was like, all right, cool, because that's what they used to like tie like the rope to in the bottom when you do the underwater knot tying. And so I was like, okay. So I remember I jump in. I feel like I remember most of it. But I jump in. You jump in.
You do a
No
somersault, right?
goggles or anything. Yep. Well, you jump in, you do a somersault in the like at the bottom of the pool. You can't kick off, but you have to do a flip, and then like from a dead stop, pretty much swim across the 25 meters. You can kick off on the other side, and then
And swim back.
and then you come back. And I started, I remember on the way there, I was definitely at the bottom, couldn't find any holes, but not that I
Fuckers were
was really
lying to
trying to.
me.
Yeah, I kick off, and then I remember I was probably 10 meters after the kick, and that was like the furthest. That was around the 35 mark, and I was like, uh-oh, and I kind of remember I started kind of losing my vision a little bit, like this isn't good. And if you broke the surface, like you failed, even if you made it all the way. Like if your head can stay under, but if like the top of your head comes up, like it's a fail. So I was like, just don't break. Like just if you feel like you're about to go out, just do a huge kickoff and just see what happens. So I think probably around that 35, 40 meter part, like I could see it's coming in closer. I'm like, all right, I'm about to be out. And then I did that. I think I closed my eyes and was just like, just go until you hit something. And I remember I touched the wall and I go to lift up to come out, like to go to surface. And I touched the wall and I went like this. And my head was out of the water. And I was just like, oh, that was so
Close.
close. And then they crouch down, they start screaming at you because you have to be like, I feel fine. And I was just like trying to catch like, and they're like, how do you feel? And I'm like, I feel fine. And then I'm like, I flop down on the pool deck, and they just get in my face and just get out of the pool now. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, Roger that, no problem.
And I got out and took like a breath, and they're still yelling at me. And then I run over to the line of all the people that passed, and then I sat down, cross-legged, and I was just like, I did it, like smooth sailing from here on out. And that's not true, of course, but that's how I felt at the
That was the
time. I
thought.
was extremely proud of myself. I was like, I never thought I could do it. Honestly, I don't know if I've, if I've done it since. I'm not
Well,
good at
one
it.
and done. My understanding is that when you stroke and kick, you're not trying to go a mile a minute going really quickly. You're trying to conserve energy and oxygen. And we had Mike Getka on the show once. He's a retired SEAL, but trains potentials that they'll train with him down, I think, in Texas, and he'll prepare them for when they go. And he talks about when you start to panic, how that burns so much more oxygen internally. So learning to keep yourself calm, like you said, the box breathing, but there's still also the stroke rate is slow, handling the internal pain, and knowing you're going to be okay, and then getting through it and being able to stay conscious is huge. So I have no similar experience like that. However, I'll say two times. Once I'm competing at this event downtown, and it's a deadlift competition. And when you, it's a German fest, so it's a different kind of deadlift, but still the same. And so all these drunks are at German Fest and they're screaming, giving me tips as if they know, right? My wife is there, thank God, because she's a good coach and she's working me through the event. And I'm getting ready to do this last pull because she said I had one more in me. So it's 6:08, and I had asked the guy behind me, because you climb up this platform, and so you're elevated above everybody. So if you black out and fall, you're going to fall 4 feet into the concrete or the crowd. So I told the guy behind me, hey man, would you just be near for a spot? And you can't really spot on the deadlift, but he had a couple of fingers in my belt in the back, nearby. And so there's the officials there with his arm raised for the down command after I finish the lift. You have to wait till you get the down command. And so I break the weight off the ground, but it's slow, right? It's super slow. And as I'm locking out, because it's not done until you're fully standing up straight, hips locked out, legs, etc., the light around me is getting narrow, right? My hands are closing in on my eyes. So now it's really dark. And I was like, holy shit, I'm blacking out. So I squeeze, I hear my wife, because she's in the front, all I hear is squeeze, which means, squeeze your ass. So you squeeze your ass and you lock out, and I see this down command. And I put the weight down because you can't let go. And then I inhale. And it's like, all the lights come right back on. I was so happy. The guy did have his fingers on my belt because it was close. That and
Yeah,
then a heavy yoke carry once, I almost blacked out. But talk about fear because you know it's starting to weigh in on you. And one of my members was a Navy diver, and so they have to do all this shit underwater, like fixing things. And I go, how long can you hold your breath? He goes, I got to about 4 minutes. I go, what's your vision like? He's like, it's like you're looking through this tiny little size of a dime, right? It comes down to nothing, and then at that point, you know you're about out, so you got to get some air.
yeah,
So there's times when you panic, but also learn about yourself, right, Alex? And where you're like, hey, this moment was terrible, but I learned about myself. So then it builds confidence, right? So as you build confidence, you know it's day two, and Hell Week is early on in first phase. Any other moments like that where you're like, oh shit, man, but you're able to get through it?
yeah. Um, I think the only other like big one for me was it's probably week two of Buds. First phase, we had like night surf passage, I think it was, and we went over to Gator Galley for dinner. Um, and a lot of guys would quit at dinner. I'm not sure why, because everyone's like just make it to the next meal. So like they'd go and eat and then they'd quit. And then a lot of them would give like a speech of like why they're quitting. I'm just like, dude, I don't care at all to hear this. I don't. You don't need to justify to us. But that was just the thing that people, at least in my class, I was never rolled, so I don't know if it was a thing in other classes, but that's kind of the trend in first phase, where people give a speech usually, um, or they would disappear and never come back. But anyway, that I remember this particular night eating dinner. There was a couple of guys that quit. One of them I was like really good friends with, um, and then there was this rollback that everybody hated. Um, he's such a douche, but absolute stud though, like physically just a beast. Um, because he was, yeah. Anyway, I don't want to get into that, but he stood up there and was just like, tonight is going to be super cold. Like, if you're going to quit, quit now, because you're going to hurt your boat team by going out there if you quit. Like, we want to have, once you leave here, you're not allowed to quit because you're not going to let your team down and make other guys carry your weight and struggle. So a bunch of people quit because they're like, well, I don't want to be a dishonorable man. I want to, be a good person. So I'm going to quit. And that's why some people are like, I'm quitting because I'm a team player. Like, that's not really how
No,
that works, but all right.
right.
And they were saying how cold it was going to be, and it was so miserable. And like, he's a rollback, so he's like, he's done this before. Like, this is like a terrible night. And I remember just like sitting there, just like bug eyed, like, dude, this sounds terrible. That was like, honestly, the only time I ever thought about like actually quitting butts. Um, there was times where I was just like, I'm gonna die, like I'm not gonna quit. Like I will literally die. Like in the pool, I was like, I'm not quitting, but if I pass out underwater, then so be it. I don't care. And there's quite a few times in the teams where I would like take a breath and be like, I'm about to die, but whatever, I don't care. And which is a very strange feeling to be like, I am totally accepting that I'm probably gonna die, but I'm gonna do this anyway. This was the only time where I was just like, I actually thought about quitting. Like, I'm going to call it and I'm going to just go do something else. And so I didn't quit at dinner, obviously, but like I thought about it. And I remember running back to like Bud's Beach. It's like almost a mile, I think, from Gator Galley, the route we would take. And and it was cold, and it was windy. And I was like, man, this is going to suck. And then I literally, I thought, I was like, maybe I'll just quit when I get back before we get out there. And my girlfriend at the time was in the Navy too. We joined the Navy together. We dated before the Navy. We were both from Vermont. She used to drive me to the recruiter's office and stuff. So I say this because I had a lot of history with her. Like, she knew this is all I ever wanted to do, was just be a Navy SEAL. Like, first time we went on a date, I was like, this is what I want to be, a Navy SEAL, just so you know. And not to like try to impress her, it was just like, if you don't want to move, just know this. But anyway, so she was in the Navy and she was on an aircraft carrier and they were doing an underway. And I look out in the, in the ocean and there's the aircraft carrier. Like, it's not that far off, maybe a mile or two, and it's huge and it's all lit up or whatever. So I was like, and everyone that quit from my class went on her ship. Like the amount of stories she told me was hilarious from people saying stuff, which is just wild. Anyway, I was just like, if I quit, I'll be on the same ship as her. And I do not want to be an aircraft carrier, like at all. I hate the Navy. Um, I hate the ships. Like, if I wasn't a SEAL, I would never be in the Navy, straight up. Um, I so I saw that, and that was like kind of like, all right, well, can't quit yet because, and then also, it was like two things that stopped me from quitting. What the second was, I look at my window at the 618, the first phase barracks. I was on the at this point at the third floor, and my window faced the ocean, freaking $10 million view. Like nowadays, if you have that view in Coronado, anywhere else off a base, like you're paying top dollar for that view. And I had that view. I'm freaking 100 feet from the beach, looking
Nice.
out, and I look up, and my light's on because my roommate quit, and and I look up there, and I think this is really what solidified like not quitting. I look up, I'm like, if I quit, I'm gonna go up there. I'm gonna look out my window. I'm gonna see the aircraft carrier with my girlfriend on it, and then I'm gonna see the entire class in the surf zone doing their thing. And at some point, I'm gonna have to call my parents and be like, "Hey, I quit." And I straight up was just like, "Fuck that!" like I was like, I like whatever. I'll die in the water. I don't care. I'd rather. That's more honorable to me than quitting. And I went and got everything together. Whatever, went out. Did the. I remember the first like time I got in the water. The water felt like a freaking bathtub. And I remember I got in the water. I just started shaking my head, kind of laughing to myself. And I was just like, that piece of shit, dude. Like he said how cold it was. Not that I'm, who knows? He maybe didn't know. I don't know. But I was just like, the water never felt warmer than that night. And
That's
I mean, I was
amazing.
there. I was in there in a winter class. This was November. Like, but for some reason that day it felt so warm. And I remember that particular night. I had a blast. I had so much fun doing that night surf passage with my friends and buds.
So you guys end up at the Hotel Dell and land your boats there, right?
Not that night. No, that
Not that
was
night, but
we did the rock portage there. That was super fun too. But that I didn't. That's cool. It's super motivating because you have all these people being like, "Oh, look, Navy SEALs,"
right,
and then the instructor's like, "Those aren't SEALs. We're SEALs. They're students." And you're just like,
right.
ah. But everyone thought it was super cool.
It
But
makes
yes,
sense if you know the brain at all that when the chaos calms down, you have to decide, do I want to go back into the chaos? Or with you guys, it's so early on, it's just all this fear of the unknown, and that guy would have never made it way worse by planting this seed. And we know the brain is trainable, right? When you walk into a dark room, the first thing you probably do is turn the light on because you've been trained that a light switch will help with that problem. And so he completely sabotaged all those brains. And so when people are sitting there and they're in their thoughts, yeah, they want to quit. When they're kind of just moving forward, but they're doing it, like they're progressing. Like, well, this sucks. Like I had bad jobs that sucked, where you're out in the heat, mowing yards and doing like landscaping with your buddies for like a summer job, and it's 90 degrees and humid. But you're talking to your guys, you're with your guys, you know. But even if you're in isolation, like it's only temporary. At some point, they got to like, hey, get out of the water. You get to have another meal at some point. And when they focus on the unknown or what could be or what is versus, want to get there, they want people to pass at some level or rate. So they're going to set the progression, the natural progression to be attainable. and I handled the last 2 hours, I could probably handle the next 2 hours, and then probably the next 2 hours. And then if you just look, one step in front of your face and say, well, I can make that step, and then just narrow your focus and get out of your head. So you have to constantly look smaller and smaller and then handle that
Yes.
smaller and smaller goal. You sit there in your thoughts, and man, I don't like I've been coaching people for a long time. I don't like being in my own thoughts sometimes. So I just narrow my focus. Fast forward, we can spend the whole session on this. I know you were 12 years in. Uh, any other major lessons? Because if you listen to like people like Jock or Leif, they'll say, "Well, yeah, it's just buds. It's just some push-ups and being cold." Being a team, being in the teams is way different. It's much more than that. You still have a lot. The learning curve is much higher. You're working with all these groups. And so I'm always curious because I want to talk next about your willingness to get your head kicked in and kicking other people's heads for a living and then promote that. Like, so any other lessons on resilience that came from being in the teams?
Um, I mean, yeah, I think confidence is the foundation for resilience, and you get confidence by doing things, pushing yourself to do things, and then like the more you do, like the confidence boost I had after that 50-meter swim, the confidence boost I have to after overcoming that fear, that what if the water is ice cold, like coming over, like that's how you start to build resilience, I think. Um, and that's
What about,
Buds is,
sorry,
go ahead.
what about the process of, hey, how about if I just quit what ifing myself? Like
Yeah,
that,
good
that's
one.
not being mentally tough. That's just, I'm
Um,
just not going to what if myself. Like that's just,
No, it's not, and it's kind of like numbing something. It's like putting lidocaine on a cut. Like the cut's
right.
still there, so you need to accept whatever that is,
Sure.
and you got to find a way to go over it. I remember I said this quote to myself a million times, probably throughout Buds and even in time in the teams. Is like, he who has a why can endure anyhow. So as long as that why is stronger than how, or that means something to you, like it's not, this isn't a resume builder, this isn't so I can propel myself into a political career or I can write the next best-selling book. Like my why is because I want to be part of this, I want to do this, this is what this means to me. Or maybe you have less selfish goals, not that that's wrong, but maybe your goal is like, my why is I want to be a good teammate. I want to be there for my friends, my family, my boat crew members, my platoon mates, my kids, like whatever that is. Like that is also something that is extremely motivating. And that's there has been a shift from when I was, a young 21, 22-year-old kid going through Buds to now being in my 30s with kids, and a business and like trying to do these other things. Like that why has shifted, but the my ability to handle how has, has changed, but it's the same thing, just in a different, parallel.
Yep. What I tell athletes is when you have a big endeavor, career move, big goal you're looking at, trying to make a team, play in college, whatever, write down all the whys. And some are going to be big, right? And anyone that's beyond you and your identity, like I'm doing this for my family, for my, for God, for being on this team, those are going to be powerful. But if you're also doing it like, hey, I want to look good, and chicks dig dudes like this, and it's great for my ego. Like, it's okay having those smaller ones. They won't get you as far, but nothing wrong with having 10 small ones and two big ones. Take them
Yeah,
all. Take them
absolutely. Yep,
all and leverage them all whenever you need to. So
exactly. Yeah.
fast forward, you're moving out of the team. So it must have been recently that you stopped, right?
Yeah, May 29, 2025, my last day.
Oh, wow. So not even a year.
Yep.
Okay. Wow. And I'm looking through you and I see that you, uh, pro fighter in jiu-jitsu, and you're looking to compete professionally while simultaneously promoting um, a major event on the East Coast. So first question, why jiu-jitsu? Why not karate? Why not whatever? Why jiu-jitsu? And then two, why promote an event? Why not just compete yourself? Because two big goals like that, it's like having two quarterbacks. You have zero quarterbacks. So if you have
Yeah.
two big goals, then do you really have any? Is it? And I'm not here to criticize you. I just want you to help me learn.
Yeah, no, very valid. I get asked that plenty of times as well by others. So first, jujitsu. I started doing jujitsu really in like April 2023. I've always liked combat sports, martial arts in general, since I was like 18 or so. There isn't really a spot to do it in Vermont, but that's what I like to do, or tried to do anyway. And then I did a little bit. I had a friend that I used to work with that used to hold pads for me and stuff, and so I was like, I love this. This is cool. And I had a heavy bag in my basement. I would hit it and like thought I was Mike Tyson or something. But and then I joined the Navy, and we did a little bit of stuff throughout buds, mostly striking though. There was a little bit of jujitsu here or there, but like it was mostly just like punching and kicking. And then we did the combatives course in SQT, and I was like, this is awesome. I love this. And then I just kind of stuck with striking a little bit here or there, and then I went through a really rough time at my second platoon, and was just like in a bad spot. And one of my friends was like, hey, my friend Chad does like boxing in his garage on like Saturday mornings. Like, we should go. And I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, like, why not? So I started going there, and then Chad ended up, he was a boat guy. He left the SWIC team and went over to the combatives command. And I would start training with him. Like, we just hit pads, mostly boxing. And I was like, this is really cool. And I never liked jujitsu. I had a gi someone gave me, but like I wasn't into it at all. And that was all San Diego. And then I moved to Virginia Beach, and was at a boxing gym there, having a good time. And then the old combatives like instructor, he's a civilian. He moved to Virginia Beach from San Diego, and he went to my friend's gym. We weren't friends at the time, but he was another former SEAL, former pro MMA fighter, and he had a jiu-jitsu gym, and he's like, hey, come check it out. I'm like, I'm good. I'll just box. And then, but when this guy moved and started teaching striking at this gym, I was like, well, I'm going to go there. And so I started striking there with him, and then Mitch was like, you should do jiu-jitsu. And I was like, nah. And
It's a Mitch Aguilar.
mhm.
Okay, I met
and
him at the swim. Yeah,
Yep, yeah, he does the swim every year. Yeah, I was like, all right, well, because he let me train there for free, which was really generous and awesome of him, just because I was a SEAL. So I was like, all right, well, at least I could do is do some jujitsu, and I did it, and like I didn't,
grudgingly.
I just didn't. Yeah, I was like, I didn't really like it, and it was weird because I always felt like I picked it up faster than everyone else, which was weird for me because I've always just worked twice as hard just to be average, and but jujitsu just things just clicked a lot quicker for me. But I was like, I'm not into this, and so anyway, that was probably December of 22 when I started going there, and then it was probably around January or early February. One of my friends that was there, he was god awful at striking, but he tried. But he was super into jiu-jitsu. He's like, hey, you should sign up for the a grappling industries tournament. It's coming to Virginia Beach. Like, and I was like, dude, I don't even do that. Like, I'm not into it. But he was like, you should check it out. So I was like, all right, fine, well, whatever. It'll be something new. Might as well. So that was in April. I barely did anything. I only did no gi. But I signed up. I went and did it. I won my first match in like 3 minutes, like with the most basic armbar ever. And I was like, this is so stupid. Like, this is so easy. Like, I can't believe people like think this is legit. Jiu-jitsu is not real. And then I did my second match, and got just destroyed, like 22-0. And I remember every single thing I was about to do, the other guy's coach was like telling him he's about to do this, and I just got so frustrated because like he's like reading my mind, like he's in there on the joysticks, like controlling what I'm thinking. I was like, yeah, because I knew like two things, but and I finished that, match, and I watched it a couple weeks ago. It was embarrassing. I had somebody recorded it for me, and but I finished the match, and Mitch like didn't even talk to me. I was like, "Hey, man," and he was like, "No, nope, I don't want to hear it." I was like, "All right," which I was really thankful for because there was a couple other people that lost, and he went off on them, like, "You're an embarrassment to me, and you should be ashamed of yourself." And I was just like, "Oh, never mind." He said not to say anything. I'm not saying anything, and because he just went and won like everything, he crushed that tournament. He like won double gold in absolute and gold like in his no gi or gi or whatever he did, and then like I just got starched, and after that, that was like that was never happening again. And from that day, it was like April 29th, I think, 2023. Like ever since then, I've just been obsessed with jiu-jitsu. There was an absolute switch that went off from like loathing it to being like obsessed. And for a
You got your
while,
ass beat, like you started caring about it now. Like I get
yeah,
my ass beat at tennis, like okay, well, whatever. I'm not.
yeah, but I was just like, it was cool to do like an individual thing. Like I'd done boxing things a little bit like at the gym. I never did like a fight or anything, but I did that. But to go out there and like do this was just so cool, so much fun to me, super motivating. And I was like, man, this is all on me. This isn't like a team thing. Like I get to do this, and I I just got into it. I was doing two a day, sometimes three a days. Like I just got super into it. So I've only been doing it for like 3 years, but I'm excelled super fast. One, because I said it clicks a little faster than me than most, I think. And two, like I've always felt like I work twice as hard to be average. Now I'm working still twice as hard, but I get it. So it's come on to me pretty quickly.
What belt are you at then?
Purple,
Purple. Okay. A lot of times we'll say black belt's 10 years,
yeah,
right? So it sounds like you're moving through it quickly, but there's still a ways to go.
yeah.
What's the timetable to fight pro then? You have to be a black belt, right?
No, you could no. There's pro blue belts, really.
Okay.
It just kind of, I mean, I like it's not as cool as it sounds as saying I'm a professional athlete. That just means like I go or a professional jiu-jitsu person because like I'm a pro because I've done pro shows and I've gotten paid for like ticket sales or whatever else. Like it doesn't even cover my plane ticket usually,
Okay.
but
So we're not talking, $250,000 a year
no,
income.
not yet.
Gotcha.
Anyway,
Not yet.
and then I try to
And have
get
you have you have
sponsors.
you, have you rolled with Mitch?
Yeah,
How's that go?
I haven't rolled with him in honestly over a year, so
Okay.
I'd like to do that again, see what
Would like
happens.
to, want to, or must do it, you think?
All the above.
All of the above. Okay. That's more commitment than I like to. So that sounds awesome. Running an event. Why? Who cares? Is that a moneymaker? Is it just fun? You get to see people with that look in their face, say, "Hey, I did something new," or you just want to do something like, "Hey, it's because you wrote like, I want this to be the best fucking thing ever," on the East Coast. So that's not just having a few people. Like during COVID, we had one tournament at my gym because everything was shut down, and my gym was 10,000 square feet, and it was opened once the ban was lifted. I was willing to rent out whatever because I went like so many weeks without revenue. So this guy comes in here and fills the 10,000 square feet with these mats and TVs and everything. And he brought everything. I mean, I charged him such a low fee for the rental. When I learned the scope of what he was doing, I knew it was worth more, unfortunately. But he had thousands of these kids in multiple different groups, whether you're in this belt or age group or all this shit. And
Yeah.
I'm like, they're paying $100 per group, and it's
Uh-huh.
going all day, like
Yeah.
sun up to sundown, and there's hundreds. I'm like, this is $25,000 day. I'm like, in my little warehouse gym, nothing. There's no
Yeah.
spectators, right? There's
Yeah.
just the parents, right? And I was like,
Right.
whoa,
Yeah.
I'm in the
Yeah.
wrong deal.
Yeah.
How do you like? Do you have a date? Do you have a venue? Like,
Yeah. So
how's that
I did
work?
my
Like, where are we at?
yeah. Oh, I did my first event November 30th in Virginia Beach on a Sunday afternoon, um, and it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. And so I took because I travel all over the country fighting different venues and events and promotions. So I just took like my favorite pieces from each thing and tried to make my own flavor, with my own rule set, just the entertainment side, and then like trying to bring in vendors and sponsors and stuff. So I boiled it down to like violence, entertainment, community, is like my three words that I use to describe my events. And it was a lot of fun and people really enjoyed it. And I was like, my plan is to use this as a platform to help you, the athlete, the competitor, build your personal brand. Like if you want to travel around the country like I do and fight on these shows, you need to put yourself out there and you need to do these like entertaining events. This isn't just like a glorified open gym. I want this to be something real, and like something that's well known. Like, oh, you fought at LFW Super Fights, like that's cool. Like you must be entertaining. You must be skilled. You must know how to bring in a crowd, and with that comes opportunities to get sponsors, to get people to support you, because that's what I'm starting to do now too. So I was like, well, I want to give back because jiu-jitsu has saved my life multiple times, like mentally. I've never had to use it like in a altercation or anything. I don't want that to be misconstrued, but it's been really helpful for my mental
Except this
health.
one date, this one girl,
Yeah, so that's why I started the event, and it was a blast. It was extremely stressful because I did everything by myself, but it was a lot of fun. And now I'm doing my second one, and this one's going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina, on a Sunday or a Saturday afternoon, and like I had around 200 or so people in Virginia Beach on a Sunday. So now I'm looking like Charlotte on a Saturday, I think is going to be, at least double, maybe more. The event space I rented this time is more than double the size. I hired some really like top-notch people to work it, to be like I got the best MC in the world right now. And I love that guy, Alex Simon. Great dude. Probably a really good person to have on here too, honestly. But I'm super
if you
excited to lock him in.
if you can connect me,
Yeah, for sure.
and
And
if you know
then,
Jameis Winston, I always shout out him. But go ahead.
okay, and then I hired a content people that do video and stuff. Dante had seen it, shot it. Super excited to have him. I've seen his work on Instagram, like really good. Looking forward because again, that's how I build this promotion is like having good content, but also and then having good people there, working it as well as competing. I got the Briggs Pittman is a phenomenal ref legend in North Carolina for like jiu-jitsu, refing. Like everyone loves that guy. I love that guy. Connects you with him too. He'd be cool to have on here. He's got his own thing that would be really nice, I think. And then I got some other people too that I'm pulling in, and then I've just been outreaching, trying to get different athletes, different walks of life, and just for the competitor side, and then same thing, trying to pull in different vendors or sponsors to build that community side of things as well. So the fighters bring the violence, the MCs, even the ref, every that's the entertainment and the music and stuff, and then the community is one with the spectators, the fans, and then of course it's the small businesses that come in and help support the event. And I'm not doing like, oh, go give me some money and go sit in the corner. I'm like, no, hey, this is who's here. This is who is supporting this event. These people are part of why this is even possible. Like you're here to fight, which is cool. We could do this at a gym though, and you could go to the club down the street and listen to music and get some drinks and a piece of pizza or whatever. And you can go to a farmer's market and see this or that. I'm putting all three of those things together in one room, and I'm so the community aspect is what I'm jazzed about. Is like, hey, this is so and so automotive, or this is this apparel company, or this is this whatever meal company, and this is what they do. And then depending on whatever tier level they pick for a sponsorship, they get a platform to speak, and then they can put their commercial in the live stream, and then I'll put their logo on all the swag and stuff like that. So, and that's kind of why I'm trying to build, and no one's doing that again because people they have a sponsor and they throw them off in the corner. So after my first event, everyone was just like, "Hey, thank you so much. Like you actually told people to come visit us. You weren't just like, yeah, go. We got food and stuff in the back." Because that's what people do, if they even do that. I was just like, yeah, we got so and so doing this, and so
When we
I
would
just
have some of our CrossFit events, we would say this event is sponsored by this group.
right,
That one, that's just the whole event alone. So if one of the workouts would be sponsored by this group, and then they would provide prizes for that event. So if you won that event and it was all massage company, they're getting free massages, whatever else. So we tied the sponsors to one of the actual events. Now, I'm not saying it's what
hmm
you do, but it's one of the things that we did to help highlight them some more. And so the winners and those families would have to go over to the sponsor to receive the prizes and gifts, right? And then they will be on this other platform. We take their picture and everything else. So we're always trying to reward people that are helping us out financially. There's
that's
usually
right,
small business owners trying to make it, and they're worried that, hey, I'm going to give this money, and it's really just a donation. It's not anything that's going to generate business. But when they know it generates business, they're like, well, shit, man, here's some more money. What else can we do, right? So,
right, exactly, yeah,
awesome. The mantras are like huge, and you can hold on to them. They'll help propel you. One, they're short to think about. Two, they can be powerful, right? So, like, I have the word sisu tattooed on me. It means, never give up. It's from Finland, right?
yeah,
So, when
yep,
I see hard, humble, and hungry, hard, do hard things, humble that, hey, you're not perfect and you're not the best, don't be a douche, right? And then hungry, keep pushing. So, Kaizen's another core value where we're trying for constant improvement. So, hungry, trying to evolve. And then, the three H's, so alliteration right there. So it's kind of catchy, but hard, humble, and hungry. And I think um, something simple like that, but meaningful, can push a culture and a team well beyond what they think they can do. Talk about how you came up with those three words, how your event might represent some of that, how that's beyond you, and when you're trying to when you're coaching folks, how that all comes out and how that all comes together.
yeah. So it started um, back my as a new guy at SEAL Team 3. I had bought a like a Team 3 hat from the MWR or whatever, just a black hat with a red Roman numeral 3 on it. And we were out in Nyland one night when we first got there. I was in the truck, and I remember everyone used to like stay hard or whatever. And there was a guy,
David
new,
Goggins kind of deal.
one of my friends used to wear this shirt. Just always said the hungriest man eats. We used to always make fun of him for it. And then of course, like being a SEAL is like, be humble, quiet, professional, and stuff like that. So I was just like, I wrote in the brim of the hat, hard, humble, hungry,
Okay.
and and that's kind of where it started.
Okay.
And then it just kind of evolved. And I remember my third deployment, Team 3, we went out to Saudi Arabia, and I was in charge of setting up this like program with the Saudis. And at the end, I had to like give like a motivational speech, pretty much, to these guys. And I was just like, I'll just talk about these things because this is what's carried me through my entire career. Subconsciously, though, it wasn't even like a forethought. It was just like, huh. And then I gave this speech, and of course, it had to be broken up because they had to translate it,
Boy.
which was challenging. But I remember at the end of it, I had a couple of my friends who were like, "Dude, did you make all that up?" I'm like, "Yeah, like this is, I believe in this. This is my thing." And they're like, "That was really cool." I
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, it was, I guess." And then,
I guess so.
it just kind of just sat there in the back pocket in my head, like whatever. And then as I got out and I was like, I want to be a coach because, like I got two kids. I'm divorced, so we have 50-50 custody. My life's been crazy, so I haven't been able to see them as much as I'd like to. So I was like, I can't go work some other job. Plus, it's just not in my DNA. I can't do that. That's not who I am. And I love helping people, and I love, trying to build other people up. That's why I started this event. And I was like, I'm going to do this coaching thing. Um, I was like, well, this is going to be my thing. I'm gonna go off of these three things because this is like, even though it's not in the front of my brain, but these are the three things that have pushed me to be where I'm at right now.
So it is in the front of your brain.
So so it is now, yep, and that's what I go off of. And when I'm not one of those things or not all three like I should be, that life gets tough. It gets a lot harder. Um, and you
They,
want to
they
heart.
call that the reticular activation system, your mind's eye. So now subconsciously you develop that. So now that becomes who you are. And you'll know quickly, I don't want to speak for you, but you'll know quickly when you're off the path of those three things, so that's what speaks to you, you'll feel out of alignment. Like I'm
Yes,
avoiding some of the hard things. You know, hard things, I'm like these hard conversations or sales calls. Like I'm avoiding some hard things, so I'll feel out of alignment. Or I'm walking around just talking about how great I am, man. I got the best event ever, and I'm whooping ass. Next thing you know, you won by an easy armbar, then you're down 22-0 because you forgot to be humble, and
that's
you
right.
got humbled. And then hungry. Well, I was pushing, at this level of standards, but I don't really. I eat a lot more worse food. I'm staying up late, drinking more beer, right? Not nearly as hungry, right? So you'll feel out of alignment because it's so interwoven in your brain synapses, if you will. So, and if that culture defines you and your coaching and your gym, then the people you work with will be impacted similarly, and then that'll define a bunch of their identities and carry with them for a long time.
Yes.
Love that. Love that. Oh, you know what? I forgot. I always like to end with my rapid fire questions that last about 1 minute. I also want to find out where people can find you. Let's say, I would say when you're lifting, do you still lift or no? Not so much.
I've been getting a little bit more back into it. I'm like naturally very strong. I've always have been. It's cardio that's kind of my the thing I have to work hard for.
Gotcha.
But I have been lifting more recently.
So if you're lifting or you're running or you're whatever, what do you listen to?
Oh, it really depends on my mood. I'm a mood listener, not some, but so honestly, either like hip hop or metal or like Wetzel. I love Wetzel.
Get out of here. I'll get you all over the place. That's awesome. What's
Yeah.
an adventure to a place you've never been to that you have to go and try out?
What? Say that again?
Like you want to run rim to rim in the Grand Canyon, or you want to go hike
Oh,
Machu Picchu, or you want to just go sit in the Alps. What's an adventure place you haven't been to that you want to do?
oh, I want to do Kilimanjaro. I think
Gotcha.
that'd be a good one. Hmm.
The guy that runs AEA, the AEA Institute, he did it after his wife passed unexpectedly, and he raised like I don't know $500,000 by doing this climb because you want to honor his wife, and that's what he climbed,
Yeah,
Kilimanjaro. And then Kyle Maynard, have you come across him?
yeah. He came to the our combatives course when I was in SQT with because he's really good friends with Jeff Gum, and Jeff Gum was one of the combatives
Yeah, Jeff was
instructors.
on my show. He referred Kyle, and I'm pretty sure Kyle bear crawled up to
He did,
Kilimanjaro.
yeah. I remember when he did that. Yeah.
That's amazing. Favorite sports movie?
Um, probably Coach Carter.
Okay. What's a sport you like to watch?
I guess Jiu-Jitsu.
Cool. Athlete you like to watch? G-
Um,
GSP.
uh, no, Kobe Bryant.
All right. Book. Is there a book recommendation?
I think it depends on what you're looking for, like what your goal is. Uh, but I would say probably one of my all-time favorite um, books was Turn the Ship Around. I forget the name of the author, um, but he's
I'll write it down.
a submarine commander. But that's one of my favorite books.
All right. You got a superhero you like? It could be a real person or it could just be a comic book.
Navy SEALs.
Okay. How about a villain?
Um,
I like Hannibal Lecter.
yeah, yeah. I don't know, maybe the Joker, I guess.
Okay. Favorite lift in the gym?
Hankling.
Okay. And then you have a quote. Is it the how and the why?
Yeah, that's up there. You know, hard, humble, hungry.
Love it.
That's a good one. That's that too. I
All
got. I
right.
mean, there's a couple I got, but yeah.
They work. First, if people want to find you for coaching, how do they get a hold of you?
My website, just alexrogerscoaching.com, or just send me a DM on Instagram, which is just AROG14.
Gotcha. If they want to find out about the event you're hosting,
My Instagram, the AROG14, or you can go to the event Instagram, which is just LFW underscore super fights.
gotcha. Any other ways that you want people to make sure they're finding you, following you, supporting you, or you guys have a YouTube channel for the event, anything like that?
Yeah, I got a YouTube channel that it's very, you know, uh, young. So,
Okay.
but it's just, I think it's Alex Rogers LFW, or you can find me just on LinkedIn too.
Awesome. Awesome. And for those that want to continue to reach out to us, info at athlete-builder.com. We are powered by the AEA Institute for your mental performance, and the Mental Edge Academy is what we utilize. And we have office hours Tuesdays and Thursday nights, so Eastern. So reach out to me so we can get you dialed in there. Alex, loved having you on today. Learned a lot. Loved hearing your story. Things I can
Thank you.
take away from there very easily, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with everybody else. So, man, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I love being on it.
All right, see you.
So yeah.